You were telling us though about like going to California and having to get like go to court. What happened there? How common is that?
So I had a woman rent a car, and she came from the Cosmo. She refused. This is unfortunately while I was out of town, and had a couple of new employees that were training. We had a retail store at the mall. So those employees trained at our main office, then went to the mall and sold rentals.
Got it.
So this one of my new girls was renting a car, didn't really learn the red flags yet, rented a car to a girl, and took all the information over the phone and went to the Cosmo to drop off a Dodge Hellcat. And they did the contract there on the spot, took the picture, did all the stuff. But we didn't get her in our office. And so that was a big issue. She paid to go to California, and it's okay. Like sometimes international people will come from like the UK and they'll want to go to Disneyland. That happens like every time. I mean, if you come from the UK, Disneyland's a cool place.
Yeah.
So they fly into Vegas and then they drive to Disneyland and come back. So you take an SUV or a 4-seater car.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a fee for that, and they go and they do it and they come back. So this girl paid, she rented the car for 3 days. And on the third day, she was due back at 2:30. Like 1 o'clock, we tracked the car and it was still in California. So we sent her a message and she's like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I'll extend it, charge my card. Well, her card got declined. So she's like, well, I'm on my way back right now. I'll just pay you guys cash. I can't put it in the account. Just an excuse after excuse after an excuse. So like the fourth day happened and the car is still in the exact same spot. It's right next to Dodger Stadium. Like it hasn't moved. It hasn't actually moved in 3 days. So on the second day she's in California, it was still there. So now it's the fifth day and she doesn't answer us anymore. We call, we do this, we do that. So I said, okay, guys, I had a location in Orange County. I mailed the key there and they went up to go get the car.
Yeah.
So they go to this guy's house, or this house where the car is at. And the car's in the driveway. They just turn the car on, they back it out, they get in the street. And as this is happening, some older gentleman comes out, starts screaming and yelling, where are you taking my son's car? And my renter's like, well, he rented it. He's like, no, he bought this car. And one of my employees is like, I'm sorry, you just were confused. It's just a rental. He didn't bring it back. We're going to take it now. He calls the police, and it turns out that the son was actually a police officer, and he purchased this car on OfferUp. He purchased my Hellcat on OfferUp. Now, there's a little bit more to this story, in my opinion, because why would a police officer give 30% less value? The car was 30% less value on OfferUp.
How does that
in cash?
Yeah.
And think it's a legitimate transaction.
But how did he didn't get a title?
He did. They made a title for this car. So they had someone at the DMV make a title, legitimate California title. But the title number was wrong. It was a manufactured title number.
Yeah.
And the VIN number was 1 digit off. And then the year was also wrong. So like the title wasn't like legit. And like if you check the title on the thing, it was wrong. Like the car was a 2017, title said 16. It was really weird.
Yeah.
And like the title looked perfect, but you had to like look into it. So these police officers come and they're like going crazy. They didn't know what to believe. And so I'm in Las Vegas at the time and I'm like, why didn't I go to this one? You know, this was a huge video, right? We were filming the whole thing. And it turns out this woman sold this car to this guy.
Yeah.
I think that guy was in on it because I don't see who in their right mind pays 30% less in cash as a officer of the law for a car and doesn't drive it. The place where they said that they bought it, it drove from there to his house, stayed there 3 days. If you buy a brand new Hellcat, aren't you going to every one of your moms and friends and everyb's house and showing off and doing burnouts? What would be the point of
just keeping it there and not driving it?
It was at his house. I feel like he was the one, in my opinion, that created the title and hadn't sold it yet. That's where I'm at because he was too calm about losing X amount of dollars, and it was a large amount of money. Like, why would he be cool?
See. He said he paid cash, but okay.
There was no record.
Got it.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm telling you, if I buy a brand new Lamborghini, I'm going to drive that thing every second of the day. I'm going to go to work and back and here and there in the gas station. I'm just going to go to the 7-Eleven just to get gas, and I don't need it.
Could you ask for a bank statement or something? It's just like, I want to see that you withdrew that cash.
Why does a police officer have X amount of dollars in cash?
Yeah.
I mean, a Hellcat's worth $60,000. You can pretty much do the math,
Sure.
right? 30% less of that is what the alleged amount was. I mean, it's a little fishy.
Sure.
So they impound this car because I refused to report the car stolen. And the reason I refused to do that was because if I report the car stolen, I'm going to have to get my insurance involved. They're going to have to do an investigation. I'm going to have to file a claim, right? We go back to that insurance thing that I was talking about. And it's going to be a huge mess, and they're going to impound the car. And then it's going to say stolen recovery on Carfax,
Right.
which is going to devalue the car even more. And the people who rented it didn't have legitimate insurance, likely, right? Weren't a legitimate person, right? And so we didn't find this out till after, but of course, all of the documents they gave us were fake, right? And so all of these things happen, and the police take our car. So they threaten me and say, if you don't report this stolen to protect our officer, that's what he said, we're going to impound it. They took the car for 3 months. They didn't call me. They ghosted me. Every single day. I'd call him and call him and call him. And then after like 3 months, they were like, hey, we called you 3 months ago to pick up this car. Come get it. And they made the release stamp the day after they picked it up.
Wow.
Just so that I had no right to sue the department for wrongful and everything, all that stuff. They were very calculated. It was a really weird situation. It was the weirdest thing that's ever happened in my company, period.
Wow.